Hello viewers, welcome to Uvolve, the channel for database and data professionals. In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to set up a free Oracle database environment in a Windows PC to practice Oracle database as a database administrator or a developer, or as a data professional to build an IT career with a strong skill set in the Oracle database area. So viewers, our future is data-driven. If you are already in the database or data space or planning to build your career in this area, you might already be aware that Oracle is one of the most leading technologies in the database world, and if you know Oracle, you have an extra feather in your head when you hit the job market. In this demonstration, I am taking a Windows 10 desktop, which is the most widely used desktop OS environment, and pre-Oracle XE, that stands for Oracle Express Edition Database Software version 21C, but the method will work on Windows 11 or any later version of Oracle database software like 23AI. But the things that I'm going to cover are not version dependent, so you don't have to worry about the database software not being the most recent one. In fact, it will help you in the future upgrade projects from 21C to 23AI. So without further delay, let's go to a browser window. Then we'll search for Oracle XE, download, and in this first link from oracle.com, we'll open it in a separate tab, and in this list we see Oracle Database XE downloads, Oracle Database 21C Express Edition. This 21C is the latest version when this video is created, and that C stands for cloud. And we are going to download this particular one, that is Oracle Database 21C Express Edition for Windows 64. Currently, it is supported on only Windows and Linux platforms and does not support Mac. But if you have a Mac, then you will have two workarounds. Number one, you can install Oracle VirtualBox software on your Mac and create a free Windows VM and then install Oracle XE on that VM. The second option is to create a free Oracle Autonomous Database in Oracle Cloud and use it for your project. I have given my video links for both these options in the description of this video below. Now we will click on this first link to download the Oracle XE, which just started, and the size is around 1.8 gigs, which is going to take a minute or so. And once it is downloaded, we will go to the download folder, and there we will extract it to a folder with the same name. So I'll just select extract all and then press the extract button. And the installer has been 100% extracted to this folder, and it is also open. If it is not open in your case, you just double click and open this folder and then run this setup program for Oracle XE. So I'll just right click on that file and run it as an administrator. Let's minimize all the other windows. For this warning, again, we'll press this install anyway button. This is a Microsoft warning because Oracle is not a software from the Microsoft store. So it is giving this warning. So I'll press the install anyway button. Press yes to proceed. In the first screen, press the next button, then select the I accept the terms in the license agreement, this option here, and then click next. Then you have to select a destination where the database software will be installed along with a starter database which will be created. So for this, you need at least 10 gigs free space in that location. I'm going to select my E drive because I don't have that much space in the C drive. So I'm going to click on the change button to change the location to E drive. All the remaining subfolders will be created accordingly. You don't have to worry about this, and just press the OK button and then click next. In this screen, it will ask for an administrator password. So normally you use a complex password for a database, but this is our test database and that will be used only for the project. So I'm going to provide a simple password which we can remember, such as Oracle, and also I'll confirm as Oracle, all in small case, and then click next. And this is a confirmation about the destination folders for different components of the Oracle database. And then we will press the install button. So this installation takes several minutes, maybe around 30 minutes, because it is going to create the Oracle software home directory, and after that it is going to create a database for us. So this entire activity takes a lot of time. I will pause the video and I will resume when the installation is complete or there is anything worth to be mentioned in between. Around 40% completed, as we can see it in the screen behind. Okay, after around 1 hour, now we can see that the Oracle database installation has been successfully completed. Along with that, it has also given the details about two databases that it has created for us. The first one, called a container database or CDB, is kind of a parent database. And the second one, called a pluggable database or PDB, that resides within the container database. The CDB is accessible in the local host, that is this computer, in the port 1521 with its default name XE if not mentioned specifically. And the PDB is also accessible in this local host in the port 1521 and with the name XEPDB1. I will explain about these two databases shortly in simple words. For now, just remember the ports and their names. And this EM Express URL, we are not going to use it in this project, so we are going to ignore it. And then we'll click Finish to complete the installation. From this point onwards, I will refrain from going too much into the details of the steps, as this first tutorial is just for setting up the Oracle database environment. Later on, we will do a project on creating users, granting access, creating database objects like tables, views, etc., and storing data, and finally developing a small database application from the scratch. This way, the concepts will not become overcomplicated in the beginning, and rather you will learn the things as you go. Once installed, the Oracle XE database will start automatically and also with every restart of your computer. You can manually stop and start the database when required to reduce the load on the system. Normally these are all DBA activities, but you will need a few very basic ones to administer your local database, and also these will be useful if you want to pursue a database administrator career in the future. For now, just learn them for verification purpose. Now let's see these activities in action. First, we will start the Windows Service Console. And there we'll go to the section listing the Oracle services. And in this section, we see a couple of different Oracle related services are running or listed. Out of these, only two are of our interest. The first one, Oracle OraDB21 Home 3 TNS Listener. TNS Listener is the service which is responsible for listening to incoming Oracle database connection requests and establishing the connection. If the listener is down or the listener service is not running, the normal users cannot connect to the database from a remote computer. Now, the second one of our interest is the Oracle Service XE. This is the main database service. If this service is down, you cannot connect, start or stop the database. You see these are running, and also the startup type is automatic. It means these services will be started automatically when your system is restarted. You can change it by going to the properties and then by changing the startup type to manual or even disable. Let's minimize this window. Now let's see how to connect, start and stop the database in command prompt. So we'll bring up one command window, and here we have to set one environment variable called Oracle SID. So we'll use the command set Oracle SID equals to and then the name of the database, that is XE, that we set for our container database or the CDB. Press enter, and then we have to use the command SQL plus / as sysdba. So this SQL plus is a client utility for the users to connect to the Oracle database, and this / is actually replacing a username and password combination. When you connect to a Windows server as the administrator, then Oracle database automatically authorizes you as the administrator of the database also, and in that case you don't have to supply a username and password to connect to the Oracle database. All you need to do is to provide this / and Oracle will automatically authenticate you as the administrator of the database. And then this as sysdba specifies with what privilege you are connecting to the database. So sysdba is the highest level of privilege that is given in an Oracle database. You can do anything on that database, you have no restriction, and even you can delete that database. Now this SQL plus / as sysdba, when you use this command to connect to the database, it is called operating system authentication to connect to the database. And once we press enter, you'll be able to see that we have successfully connected to the database. Now here you can use the command to find out what is the name of the database that we have connected using select name from v $database, and you see that the name of the database is XE that we set in the Oracle SID environment variable also. This Oracle SID is nothing but the Oracle system identifier for the database, and this is unique for every database which are running in a particular server or host. Now another simple command that you can use to see the server or database server date is the select sysdate from dual. This dual is called a dummy table, and we'll learn about that later on, but you can say that we are referencing the server here using this command, and we can see that 22nd March 25 is the server date. And similar way you can also find out what is the system time using systimestamp option here. So select systimestamp from dual, and you see the date and time from the server, which is also listing here the time zone, which is -4 hours from GMT. So these are all called SQL commands, and don't worry about this yet. You will learn this all as you go and based on your focus area. For now, just do it as I mentioned for verification purpose. Now to stop the database, you can use the command shutdown immediate, press enter, and the database is shut down. And to start up the database, you can use the command startup open. This semicolon at the end is optional. When you are starting up or shutting down the database, you don't have to provide a semicolon there, and the database has been started. Now exit from the database command prompt or SQL prompt, and now we will check the status of the listener, the service that is responsible for accepting connections and establishing connections. To check the status of the listener, we use the command lsnrctl status listener. Usually you put the name of the listener here, and as we have seen, the name of the listener is also listener in the services console, so we are using it here. So lsnrctl stands for listener control. This is an utility to administer or manage your listener service. So press enter, and you see the details about the listener service, when it was started, what is the uptime, etc. here. So currently it is running, and you see a couple of services there which are registered with this listener, and out of these we don't have to worry about all of them, just the main one, that is the service XE instance XE status ready. So this is the main service to connect to our container database. If this service is down, you will not be able to connect to the database using the TNS listener, but you will still be able to connect using operating system authentication, as I showed before. Only connections from other remote computers you will not be able to establish. Now another service running is xepdb1, which is also ready. So this service is responsible for connections coming towards the pluggable database. Now here I have used the command listener control status listener to see the status. Similar way, you can also use the command lsnrctl stop listener to stop the listener. Here, instead of stopping the listener, it gives me the error message saying the user is not authorized to execute the requested listener command. It's because I did not start this command prompt or command window using as an administrator. So let's close this and start it as an administrator. Right click and run as administrator. And then we will execute again the command lsnrctl. First, let's see the status listener, and we see the listener status, and then we will stop it using the command lsnrctl stop listener. And you see this time the command completed successfully, means the listener is down. If you check the status again, you'll be able to see that the services are no more listed under the status of the listener. And as you can see, these are all error messages. There is no services listed. Now to start the listener again, we'll use the command lsnrctl start listener. And you see the listener has been started. Let's check the status again. And all the services are listed again. You'll see, apart from a service with the name xe, that is the service for the main database or the container database, there are a couple of more other services also. For example, this service xexdb is for an XML database. The CLR extproc is for external procedure execution. This xepdb1 is for the pluggable database service, etc. We are going to primarily use this xe and xepdb for our project. Now, we were able to connect to our container database using the operating system authentication and as sysdba. But the container database is not the one where usually the user or application data is stored. In Oracle, the user or application data is actually stored in the pluggable database or PDBs. Now let's see how to connect to the PDB. One way to connect is to first connect to the CDB and then altering the session to connect to the PDB within it. So let's connect to our CDB as sysdba first. Oops, I did a mistake because I did not set the environment variable for the database, that is called the Oracle SID. So we'll use the command set Oracle SID equals to xe and then SQL plus /s sysdba, and you see I'm connected to the CDB currently. Now to connect to the PDB named xepdb1, we will use the command alter session set container equals to xepdb1, and session altered means now you are connected to the pluggable database named xepdb1. But this is not how we are going to connect to our pluggable database, which will store our data for our project. We are going to use Power BI or other applications to connect to our pluggable database named xepdb to access the data. So we need a different method because we cannot use this command prompt to connect to our pluggable database. To set up that option for connecting to our pluggable database from different applications, we will first exit from the command window, and then we'll see the status of the listener again, and from there we'll find out one configuration file named tnsnames.ora. So I'll use the command again, lsnrctl status listener, and from there you can see that the listener parameter file, and all we need to do is to take this path where the file name listener.ora is present. So I'll copy this path and go to our Windows Explorer, go to this location. You see a couple of configuration files are there, listener SQL net and a backup file and tnsnames.ora. This file is of our importance, so let's open this file in a text editor like Notepad, and you see there is an entry called XE. So this entry is called TNS entry to connect to our container database. So we'll make a copy of this entry and make a small change so that the entry will be applicable for connecting to our pluggable database. So everything will remain the same, that is the protocol, host, and the port. If you remember, during the end of Oracle Express Edition database software installation, the installer was giving the connection information about the CDB and the PDB, where it mentioned the hostname as localhost. If you are in the same computer where the database is hosted, then in this TNS entry, you can use either localhost or the IP address of the host in the host field, or actual fully qualified DNS name of the host computer, which is in my case win10ee.manoj.home here, and the port 1521. But in this service name, we'll change the service name to the pluggable database that we have seen in the listener status. As we have seen that the service name for the pluggable database is xepdb1, we will copy this name, and instead of xe, we will paste that name, that is xepdb1. And also this alias or the name of the entry will be changed to xepdb1. And then we will save this file. Then close this window. Now again from the command prompt, first we will validate if this entry is working using the command tns ping. It doesn't matter if you are using caps or lowercase because this is Windows. So tns ping and the name of the TNS alias that we put there as xepdb1. Let's see if it gives a value. Yeah, it gives that it is okay with 20 milliseconds, that it was able to ping that entry. Please note that this TNS ping command actually tests whether you can reach out to the listener service running on the database server at the port used. It does not actually connect to the database. So if your TNS ping command does not return an OK, it can mean many things. For example, your listener service may be down, the hostname you used in the TNS entry is incorrect, or the host itself is down, the port you have specified is incorrect, or the database service name is incorrect, etc. Now before we can use this TNS entry xepdb1 to connect to the Oracle database from any client application like Power BI, let's test it from this command prompt itself, because earlier we used to connect to the database from command prompt using operating system authentication. This time we will use the TNS authentication. So we'll do SQL plus system, that is the username, then Oracle is the password that we set for the system user. If you remember, during installation of Oracle Express Edition software, we set this password Oracle all in lowercase, and then at the rate we have to specify this TNS alias here. Press enter and we are connected, and this time we are directly connecting to the pluggable database. And we have to remember this, how to connect to the pluggable database directly from any client application to work with our user or client data. I know these are a lot of information for a beginner, but trust me, this will be helpful in case you want to pursue an IT career where you need to work with Oracle database. And also congratulations, you have done a few very basic yet most common database administrator activities in your database. Now all these commands we have executed using the command window, but we have a graphical user interface or GUI software or tool called SQL Developer to work with Oracle database. So next we will download and install SQL Developer. This is not compulsory, but this is going to make your life easier when you work with Oracle database. So minimize all these windows. We will bring up our browser and then search for SQL Developer download. And we'll open this first link in a separate tab. And there you can see the SQL Developer version available is 24.3.1, which is the latest when this video is published. And we have a couple of options for the platform, that is SQL Developer extensions for VS Code, Windows 64-bit with JDK7 included, Windows 32-bit, and this is also supported on Mac and Linux, etc. Based on your platform, you download the one which is applicable. And for this project, because I am using a Windows computer, I am going to use this one, Windows 64-bit with JDK 17 included, and I will click on the link download. As you can see, it is 555 MB, which is going to take a minute or so to download. And the SQL Developer software has been downloaded. Let's open the download folder. And the installation of SQL Developer is quite easy. All you need to do is to extract this compressed file and copy it into a location from where you want to run it. There is no separate installation required. So I'll just right click and select the extract all option, and I'll extract to a folder with the same name within the download folders first. Now we can see that the SQL Developer software has been fully extracted. Let's copy this folder, and I want to take it to my E drive. So I just cut that folder and paste it here. Then open this folder, and from the subfolder SQL Developer, I'm going to create a shortcut for this application called SQL Developer into my desktop. So right click and send to desktop, create shortcut. Next, close this, and also I'm going to delete the original compressed file to save some space. And now we will see if we are able to connect to our database from this SQL Developer application. Run the SQL Developer application using the shortcut. And this message from Microsoft Windows saying that it is not a Microsoft verified application. We will just press the install anyway button because it is not from the Microsoft stores. And also it is going to enable a couple of extensions when the first time we will run it. And this is the SQL Developer interface. And from here, we will create a connection for our pluggable database named xepdb1. So we'll simply click on this plus icon here. And we need to provide a name for the connection. You can put anything there. I'll just put the name of the database here, that is xepdb1, and dash, we are going to use the system user. Then database type, Oracle selected by default. Then under user info tab, we have to specify a couple of more things. Don't worry about this proxy user now. And the authentication type will be default. The username to system here. This is for the first time and verification purpose. When we actually use the database for our project, we are not going to use the system user. Then the password, as we have specified the password as Oracle, the role will be default. You can save the password if you want. Going forward, if you don't want to supply the password every time you connect, you can save the password for future use. Then connection type will be basic. Host name, you can specify local host here. If you want, you can also put the IP address here of this server or the fully qualified domain name of the computer. So I am using local host here, the port 1521, and the SID, if you see XE, if we provide here XE, then it is going to connect to our container database. But we don't want to connect to the container database, and instead we want to connect to our pluggable database. So we'll use the option service name. And if you remember, service for the pluggable database was with a name xepdb1. It doesn't matter if you specify it in caps or lowercase. Now first we will test the connection using this test button. And you see the status is success. It means it is able to connect. Now we will save this connection for future use. You see immediately one entry is made there as xepdb1-system, and then we will press the connect button. It takes a few seconds to make the connection and then give you a window to execute SQL commands as an editor. And as you can see, this is the editor window that it has given to us. And here you can do all the SQL commands that we tested before here, and it will display the output in a grid. For example, select name from $, database. If you execute it here, select the line and press this play button here, you'll see the output in a grid. In fact, there are other information also you can extract from this $v database, which is actually a view. You may think, what is a view? In simple words, a view is a window to one or more tables, and a table is the object in an Oracle database who stores the actual data. We are going to create tables to store data very soon. Please note that the name field from this $v database view will always return the name of the CDB, indifferent of whether you are connected to the CDB or PDB. But if you want to know the name of the PDB, then you have to use another view named $PDBs. I am giving a few examples of such SQL commands in the description of this video for you to practice. Also, please note that SQL commands or keywords are not case sensitive. And if you want, you can see the other information also. So instead of name, if we put a star there, it will display everything that is available in the $v database view. And if you execute it again, you'll see a lot of different information is coming, like database ID, name, when it was created, and other details. Now we are going to use this SQL Developer as a client tool when we are going to test our SQL commands or any SQL command or development of PL SQL procedures, etc. If you want to do, you can use this SQL Developer. In fact, this free tool has a lot of features which are great. You can use it as a DBA, as a developer, or as a database designer, etc. This is an awesome tool. Now let's close this connection. And to close the connection, all you need to do is to right click on the connection and then select the disconnect option. And the connection is closed. Now let's minimize the SQL Developer application. Now we have completed setting up the Oracle database environment. In the next tutorial, we will learn a little about the Oracle database architecture, create database users, grant access, creating database objects, storing data, etc. So viewers, please provide your feedback in the comment section of the video and hit the like button if you found it useful. That will mean a lot to me and help grow this channel.